The handcuffs clicked shut, and Carla Dunn, president of the Harborview HOA, was led away in silence. The whole neighborhood watched from their porches, coffee cups trembling in their hands. For years, she ruled through fear. That morning, fear finally died. But it all started months earlier inside a small cafe by the sea, when my sister refused to bow to her rules. My name's Jake Parker. I used to be a Navy SEAL. These days, I live quieter, helping out my sister Emily, who runs a little place called Harbor Street Cafe. Emily's tough as steel, even after the accident that took her legs overseas. She doesn't complain, doesn't make speeches, she just lives. That alone seemed to offend some people, especially the ones who think control equals order. And nobody believed that more than Carla Dunn, the head of our HOA. Carla was the kind of woman who measured worth in obedience. She ran the neighborhood like a private kingdom. Every mailbox, every flower bed, every porch light, it all had to pass her standards. The woman wore white blazers like armor and smiled like it was a weapon. She didn't like Emily's cafe, said it didn't fit the community aesthetic. Emily ignored her. That was her first mistake. The day it happened, the cafe was quiet. The kind of quiet you could almost taste coffee salt, sunlight through glass. Emily was at her usual spot by the window reading. Then the door slammed open. 3 men walked in like they owned the air. Leather boots, laughter that filled the room like smoke. I was there with my brother Matt. We'd just gotten back in town, home on leave, trying to pretend the world could still be peaceful. But some instincts don't fade. When those men walked in, the quiet inside me sharpened. Their leader, Chad Briggs, had that mean grin bullies wear before the first punch. He looked around, saw Emily in her chair, and decided she'd be the easy one. "Well," he said, leaning down toward her, "isn't this something you look like you could use a hand?" Emily didn't flinch. "No," she said, "I'm fine." He chuckled. "That trident pin, what's that supposed to mean?" "I earned it," she said. He reached out, tapped it with his finger. "What did you earn exactly?" "A medal for sitting down." I'll never forget how still that cafe got. Even the espresso machine stopped hissing. Emily just looked up and said, "I earned it so other people could go home." He didn't like that answer. He shoved her chair back. Coffee spilled across the table, dripping onto her jeans. Still, she didn't move. Didn't give him what he wanted. That's when I stood. "Step away from my sister," I said. He turned, half smirking. "And who the hell are—" He didn't finish. I had his wrist before the words left his mouth. One turn, one press, his body hit the tile. Matt moved next fast and clean, dropping another guy before he could blink. The last one just froze. It was over in seconds. We didn't even raise our voices. When the police came, the truth spilled out before the handcuffs clicked. "We were sent," the youngest one said, "by Carla Dunn." She said to scare her. The words hung in the air like smoke after gunfire. Carla Dunn, the HOA president, had sent thugs to humiliate a veteran in her own cafe. That night, Emily tried to downplay it. "Let's just forget it happened," she said. But I couldn't. I'd seen men like Carla before, people who believe power's their birthright. And she'd just made the mistake of thinking my sister was alone. A week later, the letters started. Violations, fines, improper ramp angle, non-standard signage, unapproved lighting fixtures, all signed by Carla. Then came the threats failure to comply may result in lien placement. It was her new form of warfare paper ink bureaucracy. I started to lose faith. Every time the mail came, Emily's shoulders tightened. She'd stare out the window quiet. One night, she said softly, "Maybe we should just sell. Get out while we can." For a moment, I almost agreed. I'd fought real wars, but this was suffocating. You can't punch paperwork. You can't outfight a system built to bleed you slow. Then, one morning, a knock at the door. An older woman, Marcy Bennett, one of the neighbors, stood there clutching a folder of fines. "I thought it was just me," she whispered. "But she's doing it to everyone." Behind her came others. A young dad, a widow, even the cafe owner. All holding papers, all tired of being afraid. That's when it hit me, we weren't alone. Carla had built her empire on isolation. If people started standing together, her kingdom would crumble. So we fought back the only way we could, with proof. Daniel, a neighbor who worked in IT, helped us gather documents, emails, contracts, financial records that didn't add up. Detective Samuel Bramble got involved, a quiet man, sharp eyes, the kind who's seen too many broken systems. Bramble told us straight Carla's been using HOA money to buy up foreclosed homes. She finds people until they sell, then... It all fit. The fear, the sudden sales, the silence. But the worst revelation came later that night. Travis, the young biker, showed up at our door, shaking. "She's not done," he said. "She's planning to choke you out legally. Daily fines, inspections, anything to break you." I looked at Emily. She didn't look scared, just calm. "Then we stop her," she said. "But not just for us, for everyone." From that moment, everything changed. We built a war room at our kitchen table, papers, laptops, evidence sorted in neat stacks. Neighbors came by daily sharing stories, adding fuel to the fire. You could feel the shift. Fear was turning into anger. Meanwhile, across the neighborhood, Carla Dunn began to lose control. I heard she was holding emergency HOA meetings, snapping at her board, threatening anyone who hesitated. She thought she still owned us. She didn't realize her empire was already cracking. Don Henderson, the HOA treasurer, finally broke. He sent Detective Bramble a recording from one of those meetings. Carla's voice was cold, precise. "Order is built on fear, and fear is built on consequences. The Parkers are a disease, and diseases spread if you don't cut them out." That was all Bramble needed. The next morning, the sky was so clear it almost felt cruel. You'd never guess what was coming. Black SUVs rolled in, quiet, professional. No sirens, no shouting. Just steady footsteps. Across the street, Carla stood in her driveway. Silk robe, perfect hair, holding a glass of wine like it was still her weapon. The lead agent walked up. "Carla Dunn," he said, voice calm and absolute. "You are under arrest for racketeering, extortion, and abuse of authority under color of law." She tried to smile. "You don't understand, I was keeping order." The cuffs clicked. A tiny sound, but it carried across every yard in the subdivision. The kind of sound that says, "It's over." She turned her head, met my eyes across the street. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then she said quietly, "You think this ends with me?" I didn't raise my voice. I just answered, "It ends when people stop being afraid." They led her into the SUV. The door shut. Silence followed, thick and final. Neighbors stepped outside one by one. No one cheered. No one spoke. They just stood there together, breathing the same air for the first time in years. Carla built her world on fear, and fear only works when people stand alone. That morning, we didn't. The lesson: evil doesn't fall when you fight louder, it falls when you stand together.